If you're a business owner and you've been thinking about how can I implement AI in my business operations, this video is going to be very valuable to you because what we're doing today is we are doing a proper audit of business operations. We're doing it together and we're categorizing your business into three buckets, right? Tasks that are irritating and okay, tasks that are fascinating and motivating for you. And you'll be able to actually see your lowest hanging fruits for automation and for transformation of your business. So grab a pen, grab a paper, take some time off because we're going to be doing some serious thinking and some serious deep dive into how you can transform your business with AI. Now, I first heard of this from Dan Sullivan, founder of Strategic Coach, and it really talks about how you can break down your business into three categories. So essentially, what we are doing is an audit of your business operations, right? So we are categorizing those business operations into three buckets. You have A, B, C. Now, don't mind my Venn diagram. I'm just basically using the free old app within my Mac to communicate what I'm trying to do or say. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to put your business operations into three buckets. And what I would need for you to do is to think back over the last, I would say, 90 days within your own business, right? And think of each activity, right? And you're going to be categorizing each of those activities within three major buckets. Now, the first bucket, which is bucket A, represents every activity that you've done or that you're going to do tomorrow, being Monday, right? And you consider that activity as maybe irritating or activities that you don't want to do, right? So things that you're not looking forward to doing, but you have to do them. So they are irritating tasks and they come under bucket A. So I'm just going to type this here and say that bucket A is for irritating tasks. And then, so for there are tasks that are okay, right? They are not irritating, but they're also not exciting for you to do. But you don't mind doing them. They are okay. And so that's the okay bucket. And then you have C. So C represents tasks that you are excited to do them. So they are fascinating and they are motivating for you, right? And you feed off a lot of energy doing it. So you don't have to be convinced or motivated to do them. The tasks themselves, the thought of doing them, it is exciting, it is motivating, and there's a lot of energy and excitement, right? So that's bucket C. Now, and I want you to be truthful with yourself because, I mean, if you don't tell the truth with this, you will never know, which of the activities, that you can improve on and all of that. So the idea is very simple, right? What we want to do is with AI, we want to be able to automate the tasks that are irritating, some of them that are okay. And that gives you the time and energy to focus on the tasks that are fascinating and motivating for your business, right? So, right now, what I want you to do is take 60 seconds to think of just three tasks. So, we're going to focus on three tasks, right now. And you can pause the video. So, we're going to just take 60 seconds to focus on three tasks that you find irritating, right, to do. You're not excited to do them, right? So, for example, within my own business, I would say first one that you know I'm not interested in doing would be first one I'm not interested in doing would be sending following up with leads that are not qualified. So um, this is a task that can be irritating, right? So you're following up with someone, the person is not interested, but you're calling them, you're sending messages and things like that. And at the end of the day, the person doesn't sign up or the person is not interested. It just feels like the person wasted your time. So you want a situation that if you get on a call with the person is qualified, the person, has shown interest in terms of budget and things like that, and you don't want to waste time with that person. So that's following up with leads that are unqualified. So if AI can do that qualification process for you, that would be a major thing, right? Second thing I would say is role play, right? So this is something else that you hire someone and then you engage in teaching them, training them, and engaging in role play, especially with sales and customer service roles, right? And the idea is that if I can eliminate this, right, that salesperson, the time I'm spending with them is very valuable, and I don't have to engage in having to do role play as well with them, right? So the idea is that giving them a way for them to build their confidence, right? So that's for me number two, and number three for me would be bugs. So as a developer, developing applications and things like that, bugs is something that comes up consistently, and having to deal with the bugs can be kind of irritating, sometimes. So it's something that if you can automate, or systematize, is very helpful. So I want you to write down the three aspects for your own business, right? And identify and say, okay, and be truthful. This thing, if I could have a magic wand today and just wave it, these three things would be gone completely and totally from my life. So you want to identify those three things, right? So that's the irritating bucket, right? And now the second bucket is the okay bucket. No, this is not irritating, and this is also not fascinating and motivating, but it's just things that, well, you don't mind doing them, you have to do them. So there are usually things around cash flow, right? There are things around either receiving money, or things around you having to have conversations with potential clients and things like that. So they may not, you don't necessarily find them irritating, but at the same time, you can, do without them, right? So for me, so what I want you to do now in your own space, take 60 seconds again and write down three tasks that you find that you're okay with performing them. So I'm going to write down my own now. So number one, I would say sending in invoices. Um, so this is not, of course, I mean, who doesn't like to send invoices? It's an okay task for me, but also at the same time, it's also not a something that I get fascinated and motivated by. Another one would be preparing quotations and proposals, right? So this is also something that I find to be okay. I don't get irritated by doing them, but at the same time, if I can eliminate them, it would be great, right? And then the third one, right? And of course, for you, it would be different. For me, it's I would say development on applications that don't have a finish date. So this is just almost like a consistent development that it's not new. Yeah, it's kind of like doing the same thing over and over and over again. So it's okay. You don't mind doing it, but again, you don't get turned on by doing them. They're not fascinating and motivating or exciting for you, right? And so take the time to write down your own three tasks that you would say fall within the okay bracket, right? Now, C, which is the last one, which is the most exciting one, everyone loves to talk about C. So C would comprise of the tasks that you find fascinating and motivating, and this is where you get energy and excitement from. So these are usually like the game-changing projects for you, projects that would drive either 10x or 100x in your business. They are the projects that would drive, that would be more or less like a game-changing operation for your business, right? So they usually revolve around new projects or new opportunities and things like that that you would love to purchase and pursue, right? So for me, I would say for one of it is practice interactions. So this is a game-changing project which for us within my company Talden LLC, practice interactions. It's a role play tool that we built to eliminate ramp time and help sales managers to be able to train their staffs consistently at scale, right? And we built a role play tool to help with that. And that role play tool, it involves, we went deep into research in things like sleep inoculation training that the military uses. and we really went deep into understanding um, what pilots do with flight simulation and how they are able to replicate those role playing situations that they mimic the same psychological conditions you have when a pilot is in the air, right? And so these are things that we went deeply into to try and create the same environments when someone is practicing a sales call or a customer service call, and just to ensure that the same psychological tools are there. So it's something that is really interesting that I'm still building, but it's something that interests and fascinates and motivates me to build. Right. Another one is, I would say the idea of working on, the vision of making Nigeria top 10 producing economy, um, top 10 producing in 10 cash crops, in 10 crops, right? So this is also something that I'm researching. It's a long-term project. I would say in the next 20, 25 years, but the idea is working on how Nigeria can become top 10 producing, with in 10 crops, right? So sorry, not top 10 producing, but top 10 in exports, right? We're actually top five in production. Nigeria is actually top five in production, in crops like palm oil, granite. But we're actually top five in different products. But the idea is that we want to be able to get to top 10, and how and what are the tools and what are the opportunities that are available, and what are countries that are doing something similar, what have they done, right? So these are projects that are fascinating and motivating, and there will always be more that you are able to engage in. So the idea is that you want to be constantly eliminating the tasks that are irritating and okay, so that you can focus on the tasks that are fascinating and motivating to you, right? And the truth about this is that as you're doing this consistently let's just say every 90 days, Dan Sullivan recommends doing this every 90 days. As you do this activity every 90 days, what you're going to find is that what was okay for you today, in the next probably 90 days, would become irritating. And what was fascinating and motivating to you, as you consistently do it, would now become what you find as okay tasks, right? I remember when I started developing, I started building applications, I would say it was like the top fascinating and motivating task that I had, right? But today it has become something that is okay, and of course it's something that is cash flow, and I don't mind doing them. So, and that's just growth as an individual. As you grow, you would always find that what you found fascinating and motivating would eventually, become okay, and that's fine. That's just the growth potential. So, how does AI come into all of this, as you may be asking? Well, it's pretty simple. And the goal, being an AI person, is that you want to break this vision that you've written down into two parts, right? And then you have for hire, and then you have for automation. And the idea is that, of course, for some of these things that are irritating, you would want to either hire a specialist that can take it off from you, as simple as that, or you're able to build an AI agent or an AI tool that can help you to just automate it, and your time there is eliminated, right? So, if you do an audit of today, let's just say that your entire, let me bring another circle here, and this circle represents the time you are spending on each of these activities in a month. I just need to break it down. So A is okay, which is for blue. This is green, which is green is okay tasks. So I change the color to green. Sorry. Um, let's make this green. And then this is purple, which is fascinating and motivating. And purple represents excitement, right? So let me get the pen and draw in here. Okay, there we go. So let's say currently, now what you want to do is an audit of how much time that you're spending on irritating tasks in a in a week. So I would say for me currently, I'm spending about 40% of my time on tasks that are irritating, right? And for you, that might be higher or lower. So you want to do a proper audit and say how much time you go through each of them and say, okay, I spend about 20% of time here, I spend about 30%, I spend about, and you want to really, really identify how much time you spend on irritating tasks. For okay tasks, you will really want to do an audit and say how much you're spending there. So for me, I would say I'm spending 50% of my time. I'll actually be, to be fair, I'm spending about 30% here, and I'm spending about uh, 60% here. So I'll say I spend most of my time on things that are okay, and then I would say I spend about 20% of my time on things that are fascinating and motivating. And I realize I've overshot my time there. So this is actually 30%. So yes, this is accurate. I spend about 30% of my time on irritating, spend 60% on okay tasks, and I spend about 20% on things that are fascinating and motivating. And so the idea is that you want to eliminate, of course, the irritating as much as you can and bring this down. So you want to have a goal on the other side of here. So this is actual, and then you would have goal. So let's copy this. So this is actual, right? And you want to be really realistic with yourself. So say, okay, fine, you know what? Right now I'm spending 30% of my time on these activities. So for goal, right, you want to say, okay, by next month, I'm going to spend X amount of time. So if you can reduce your irritating tax, even if it's by 10%. So my goal is that by next quarter, that's the next 90 days when I do this, I want to be spending 10% of my time, minimum as a maximum, 10% of my time on things that are irritating. I want to be spending um, 40, I would say 30% of my time on, so I would say 40, because that's realistic. 40% of my time on things that are um, fascinating. And then I want to spend 50% of my time minimum on things that are fascinating and motivating. So this is the goal, and then you have the actual, right? And so this is a commitment you're making to yourself that within the next 90 days, I am going to eliminate this and I'm going to focus on this. So that's it basically. And with this, you are able to identify the ripe areas, the low hanging fruits for where your business is ripe for either hiring a specialist or someone or for engaging in automation. So for me, for example, I know that the first thing that I would want to build is a follow-up system that helps to move my leads from qualified, unqualified to qualified. And I've actually done that by building a tool called Lead Score AI. And with Lead Score AI, basically, it's a tool that is a quiz funnel tool. And what that quiz funnel does is that it qualifies every lead that comes into my system, and it qualifies them into different buckets, whether they are cold, warm, hot, ready for budget and things like that. So I usually build tools that go through a survey or a quiz funnel. And the idea is that through that quiz funnel, I'm able to qualify my lead. So, nope, I try not to get on a call with anyone who hasn't gone through that process itself. Second one is role play. I have a tool called Practice Interactions. And the idea is that with Practice Interactions, like I was explaining, lead teams are able to train their staffs through role play. And this is something that, like I said, we've done a lot of extensive research on, and we are still doing, consistently, right? And so for you, it's basically simple. As you go through your irritating tasks, you'll be able to identify the areas where automation can come in, or you can hire a specialist to eliminate those tasks for you. Same thing with OK tasks as well. You will also identify areas where you can automate. And for example, things like preparing quotations and proposals, if it's a templated format that you have, and it's just that you need to put in just different dynamic information, things like maybe like invoice units or the units of things that you're selling, what you can do in that instance is build an AI function that is able to take your template as an input, and then from there, maybe you upload a photograph or just type in some information, and then it prepares the entire quotation for you very quickly based on the template that you have, right? So for me, constantly I've been using Cloud Code as a way to shoot out my invoices. What I would like in the future is to have a much more templated version of that, so that when I'm preparing a quotation or any staff is preparing a quotation, they can go on that platform and they can do it. And that is more scalable than giving everyone access to my Cloud Code account. And so that is, not everything here can be solved with AI. And what cannot be solved with AI, a staff can come in to solve that. But the idea is that we want to be eliminating those tasks that are irritating and okay, while we focus on what is fascinating and motivating. And so another thing you can do is you can actually walk your staff through this, three-step process and help them identify the different buckets of what they are engaging in, and it would help you see that your staff can be actually become more productive instead of them just being buried in activity and operational work that really doesn't yield any um, productivity at the end of the day. And you can actually have your staff be more productive simply by identifying those tasks that are irritating and the ones that are okay. So that's it for today. And in the next video, we'll be going into more practical understanding of this and actually building an application using Cloud Code or Replit. I haven't decided, but the idea is that you can actually see live on the call how we build these AI tools for automation and basically help you transform your business. So if you have gone through this video and you really want to build something to eliminate one of these tasks and you want to get on a call to understand how to go about this process, well, what you can do is jump on a call with us and we'll be glad to have a quick session with you and help you with a proper audit of your current systems and processes. And yeah, be glad to do that. Thank you and bye bye.